before the sinkhole, do you know how many violations that contractor had run up, safety violations?
I don't know the exact number.
I know the number, 6,200. Why weren't alarm bells going off, red flags, all kinds of signals flying around saying, we have a major problem here?
We believe the number of incidents is because we are so careful in forcing the reporting of all of those incidents. We make sure that if there's an incident, it gets reported.
The contractor blames the MTA for many of the problems, telling us, for instance, they should have been warned about the underground river. But the MTA eventually fired the firm. And now Frank White may be next, as political support for him is crumbling almost as fast as Hollywood Boulevard.
What, if anything, are you going to do about Hollywood Boulevard and the property damage?
While most public officials still think the project ought to be completed, a growing number no longer do, including Tom Hayden, the former Vietnam anti-war activist, who is now a member of the State Senate's Transportation Committee.
I mean, at a certain point, you have to ask whether all the accidents, all the mishaps, all the overruns are accidents will happen, or whether the idea itself is fundamentally flawed. My view is they ought to stop it in its tracks and declare victory.
Not finish it, just leave it. Walk away.
Not finish what? They can't finish their fantasy. There's too many problems ahead that should stop where it is. Remember, you save over $2 billion if you stop it where it is.
Idiocy. And the reason it's idiocy is this. The congestion in 20 years is going to be 10 times what it is now. The region will be paralyzed. And to the extent you can increase the volume of public transit ridership, you will reduce the crush on the freeway system, and you will have some hope of continuing to move goods and people.
But critics even disagree with that. They say the system would serve such a small area that it would have very little impact on traffic. The plan calls for 95 miles of subway and commuter rail in a metropolis that spreads out over 1,400 square miles.
The subway just wouldn't carry enough people to make a difference.
Charles Lave, a University of California economics professor, is a member of the National Research Council's Transportation Research Board.
We're talking about building a subway system that will carry about 33,000, that will get about 33,000 people a day out of cars. Now that's 33,000 cars out of about 8 million. It's about 0.5%.
Don't you think that's worthwhile to get 33,000 cars off the road?
Sure, but at what cost? What they're going to spend, by their own estimates, which, mind you, have always been wrong so far, they're going to spend $43,000 a year, $43,000 a year to get one person off the road. Now, I don't know exactly what the income is of the people who are going to be on this system, but my guess is that most of them would be willing to stay home for a good deal less money than that.
But supporters of the subway say that over time, ridership will increase, and the MTA is planning for the future.
God save us from people who say they will plan the future for us. Let me give you an example.
His example, the $700 million Green Line, 20 miles of track that goes through what used to be the home of Los Angeles' aerospace industry.
The Green Line was supposed to service the Cold War industries in the South Bay. In fact, the Cold War ended shortly after the MTA embarked on this project. Tens of thousands of defense workers were laid off. They went ahead with the Green Line anyway. It cost 2 or 3 times what its original estimate was, and it ends at a miniature golf course. It ends at a miniature golf course. It doesn't even take you to the LA International Airport.
We have had problems, absolutely, but those problems are surmountable. We've set about to fix them, and only by the kind of plan that we're going to overlay on the street and freeway system will this area be able to survive.
But will it survive what's coming next?
I'm telling you, when they start doing what they're planning to do, which is to set off explosives 24 hours a day for 14 months.
Under Hollywood Boulevard?
250,000 pounds of explosives. No, under Runyon Canyon, in order to create 3 canyons below ground, or caverns below ground, the size of 3 football fields, I believe there'll be future problems.
Not the least of which is that the blasting will occur through, and this is no joke, earthquake country.
I'm told this part of this subway will go along or across a fault. Is that true?
In the design of our subways, we have taken into account the potential of earthquakes. And that's something, by the way, that has caused our costs to be higher. But what the engineers will tell you is that subways are designed to be flexible, and they shift with the earth movements.
But try telling that to the Hollywood Boulevard crowd.
Have you ever been in an earthquake? Have you ever been in an earthquake?
I've been in one here.
Right. Do you think I'm going down a subway? Do you really think I'm going to go down a subway?
Well, he can take heart, maybe, in a recent study commissioned by the MTA. It concluded that LA's geology is safe for tunneling. But it also found that nearly 40% of the work done on the subway suffered, quote, significant problems, a rate no worse than in other tunneling projects around the world. That MTA study, incidentally, was reportedly 80% over budget.